What's up, guys? If you're anything like me, you love the Dark Tower series by Stephen King. It's an epic fantasy series and a massive storyline. I have something very special for you all today. I'm doing a book review on a companion piece for the Tower series. It's absolutely remarkable. It's called Stephen King's The Dark Tower, The Complete Concordance, revised and updated by Robin Furth. In autumn of the year 2000, Stephen King needed a temporary research assistant. He had completed 4 books in his Tower series, and going forward for him at that point was becoming a bit of a mess. When you're halfway through writing a story as big as the Tower series is, it can be hard to remember what you already wrote, and you can have continuity and sensical problems as you go on trying to write further installments in the series. Wanting to employ a local graduate student for the research position, King reached out to an old advisor of his, Burt Hatlin, at the University of Maine, and he asked Burt if he knew anyone that might be interested in the job. Burt knew a PhD student who happened to fit all of King's needs. She was a poet. She loved fantasy and science fiction and horror, and she happened to be a constant reader of King's works. Her name was Robin Furth. On a snowy afternoon in December of that year, 2000, Stephen King and Robin Furth met for the first time. He told her that he was going to return to his Tower series, and that he needed complete page references for all of the characters and places in the first 4 books that he had completed at that time. After explaining how much work this would be, he asked her if she was interested in the job, and she said yes. Robin ended up writing a Dark Tower encyclopedia, complete with characters, places, games, diseases, gods, lore, languages, and more. Now, this was originally intended for Stephen King's use only. It was a research material for him as he went forward finishing the Tower series, but he liked it so much, and knowing that his audience would find value in it as well, he encouraged Robin to publish it for a broader audience. This is basically like a Holy Bible concordance. If you've ever seen one of those, you know how thorough they can be. It brings the Tower series alive in an extraordinary way and gives it a huge amount of depth and background, and Robin Furth really did her homework here. This is perfect for anyone reading the series for the first time that would like to know more about what they are reading, and it's also perfect for those of us who have finished the series, we Tower junkies, who would like to know more about the characters and the storyline. Let me grab my camera and we'll take a look at what's inside. Here it is, guys. Here's the list of contents. Let me scroll in a little bit here, and you can see that up toward the top in the list of contents, we have listings for Key, Door, Gilead Fair Days, and Midworld Moons, and in this part, Robin gives us some background concerning the history and the lore in the series. Next up, we have characters, magical objects, and magical forces. Every single character in this entire series is listed in this book, and Robin tells us all about who they are, and she tells us here in this section about the magical objects and the magical forces involved in the series. Midworld places and Borderland places, Our World places, and the multiple Americas, where Robin tells us all about the plot settings involved in the story. Portals, magical places, and end-world places. In appendix number 1, she describes the Midworld dialects, all the different languages used in the story. Appendix number 2 gives us a brief history of Midworld and of Roland. Appendix 3, Midworld rhymes, songs, prayers, and prophecies. Appendix 4 covers dances, diseases, drugs, games, and holidays. 5 covers the Tower, the quest for the Tower, and it gives us some information that's important about the novel The Eyes of the Dragon and how it relates to the story. 6. Political and cultural figures of our world mentioned in the Dark Tower series. 7. Maps of Midworld, Endworld, and Our World. And she also includes some reading group guides for those that want to go further, and she tells us a little bit about the Kamala song in the final appendix section. Here's an example of the format, guys. This is the character section. Let me scroll in a little bit here, and you can see a listing for Mother Abigail. This is really laid out like a Bible concordance. It's in alphabetical order. Every character comes up, and you can see here in the alternative version of Kansas, which our Tet traveled through in Wizard and Glass, Jake Chambers found a note tucked under a yada yada yada. But this goes on to explain who Mother Abigail is and her importance in the Dark Tower story. Here's the section on Midworld places and Borderland places. Let me scroll in a bit here. This is an entry on the Mohane Desert. In The Gunslinger, Roland crosses this desert in pursuit of Walter. The Mohane is described as the apotheosis of all deserts, huge, standing to the yada yada. It's almost hard to believe, guys, that she did that much research and that this book is as deep as it is. Here's an example of the maps. This one is for the original version of The Gunslinger from 1982. Robin does a good job explaining how things differ from the original version of The Gunslinger and the revised edition of that novel throughout this concordance. And here is an example of the map for the revised edition of The Gunslinger from 2003. This is a map that goes with the third book, The Wastelands, and this is an example of the portals section of the concordance, where Robin explains how all of the different portals, doors, thinnies, and so on work, as well as explaining how the beams and the tower itself works. This really is a wonderful piece of work, guys. What brought me to this is the fact that I'm doing my guided tour series here on YouTube, where I summarize the entire Dark Tower series, book by book, scene by scene. And as I'm doing that, I needed something that would give me more information on the specifics of the story, and this was exactly the tool that I needed. I could not imagine Robin doing a better job on this. She could have done half the job, and this would still be a remarkably valuable tool. As I'm doing my guided tour series, and I'm making my way back to the tower for the second time, I'm stopping occasionally, and I'm reading different entries in this, and as I do so, I'm checking off everything that I read. Once I finish all of the Tower novels again, I'll go back to this concordance and read all of the entries that I missed on my way back through. And once I get that far, my friend, once I've went through the Tower books twice, once I've summarized the entire series and read every single entry in the Dark Tower concordance, I will be a Dark Tower series expert, a tower junkie extraordinaire, if you can it. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to share this with you because I know that many of you out there would really enjoy this book if you get a copy. Robin is actually the world's leading expert on the Dark Tower series. She actually knows many of the specifics better than King does, and it really shows in this piece. By the way, if you all would like to re-experience the Dark Tower series without having to reread the novels, check out my guided tour series. I will put the links to those videos down in the description box for this video. Thanks for joining me, everyone. May you all have long days and pleasant nights, my friends.